attention.
I thank our experts for their remarks and for caring, a powerful tool in achieving well-being for many people and corporate leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, we have talked in detail about how to ensure the happiness of people at the level of corporations and businesses. And now let's see how the government improves the well-being of society as a whole through investments in infrastructure, smart cities, and comprehensive territorial development projects. Governments and large companies around the world with sustainable business strategies participate in the development of society by investing in territories and infrastructure, healthcare and education. The next session will include best practices and ideas from municipal and regional leaders with recognized success stories at the national and international levels.
Our next speaker's commitment to the prosperity of the region led to a phenomenon which is now called Tatarstan's economic miracle. Rustam Minnikhanov is a member of the Bureau of the Presidential Council of the Russian Federation on Strategic Development and National Projects and President of the Republic of Tatarstan, and will now tell us how they successfully built a sustainable economy in a particular region, how it helps to face modern challenges, and how to build a wealthy society of the future.
I'm happy to welcome you from the hospitable city of Kazan. I'm grateful to Rustam for organizing this conference. The pandemic that the whole world has come across made us rethink our key values. There has been a substantial rethink in our healthcare system. We promptly mobilized our doctors and hospital beds. I'm very grateful to all the medical workers for their efforts. In 100 days, we built a new hospital for infectious diseases, built online communications with people, and we disseminate all the information to our population on a daily basis. Importantly, we learned how to operate in an environment of the pandemic. Since the lockdown in Tatarstan, 90% of companies did not stop operating for a single day in Tatarstan while observing all the sanitary requirements. We continued with our efforts to attract investments. We have two special economic zones, that's Alabuga and Innopolis. We have 5 priority development areas, and we have 100 of other initiatives. In the past 3 years, Tatarstan is in top 3 in terms of its investment climate. We care about every investor. They bring us technology, capital and investments. They create new jobs. We support our local business in a systematic way. By the number of small and medium companies, Tatarstan is in the first place among the regions of our district and on the 7th place nationwide. Substantial support was provided by the federal government, and the Republic also took its measures. A good support for the business was the launch of e-commerce platforms of Wildberries, Kazan Express and one other. We have plans to build the first bonded area in Russia. Economic success is the foundation of the well-being of each person in our republic. Only with strong economy could we build homes and houses and hospitals. In this challenging period, we implement the much-needed program to do urban improvements in the courtyards and streets. This gives work to our construction sector. Importantly, all of the projects engages in public consultations. The pandemic brought us together, and it highlighted how many caring people we had in our republic.
Thank you for your presentation. This is a fantastic case, and it has a powerful impact on many of our viewers and experts. Our next speaker has supervised the transformation of Kaliningrad into a special economic zone. The governor of the Kaliningrad region, Anton Alikhanov, will share his vision of how to create a city by incorporating a variety of interests and values into its long-term strategy. Please welcome Governor Alikhanov.
Very happy to welcome the participants of this conference. I thank the organizers for the opportunity to share our experience in building the urban infrastructure and talk about projects that, in our view, make this infrastructure not just a component of the everyday comfort, but also a catalyst of territory development. Let me remind you about some of the features of our region. Because of its geography, Kaliningrad pays particular attention to transport, logistics, interregional and international cooperation. Almost all of the areas of our activity are influenced by the fact that we are an exclave. That is also has an influence on our infrastructure. We don't have a lot of mineral reserves, but we have the sea and the mild climate, and for that people value Kaliningrad, not just from other areas of Russia, but also by people who are knowledge workers. In those industries, we bet on human capital, scientific and innovative potential. Another factor that all of the regions and countries have to take on board are, of course, the epidemiological limitations. We are yet to assess all the scale of the pandemic, but it is important even now that the further development of urban infrastructure should take into account the needs of every individual in affordable healthcare, education. And I will now give you an overview of infrastructure projects which are good cases of overcoming those exclave limitations in developing a long-term and sustainable system implemented in energy, healthcare, transport. I will talk about supporting the strategically important innovative science-intensive industries, and I will talk about our approach to building a comfortable environment and digitalization of our cities. Let's start with energy and transport. One of the exciting cases is the digitalization of regional grid. This is part of the National Technology Initiative. The results are already being scaled across the regional grids, and by the end of the year, Kaliningrad region will be the first region in Russia where all regional grids will be digitalized. Our company, together with Skolkovo, developed a special testing ground to test the microgrid technology. That's a local system that calls for creation of autonomous power structures. The development of energy and transport sector, the Kaliningrad shipbuilding cluster, supported by universities and the Ministry of Industry and Trade, there is now the construction of a special ferry traveling between Baltisk and the Vistula split, which is electrically powered. We also support research and science, including research in biomedicine, the environment of the ocean, construction, and a couple of others. Of course, we expand cooperation with Russian and international universities. Prior to 2020, in our region, we hosted major events involving leading global scholars. For example, organized by the Kurchatov Institute Summer School for Young Scientists and the International Conference on New Magnetic Materials, as well as the International IP Forum under the name of IP Quorum. We do hope that they will be renewed next year when the world and, of course, our country get over the COVID epidemic. We also reported to President Putin, and he supported our initiative about establishing in Kaliningrad a high-tech center, the Baltic Valley Human Tech. It will specialize in developing healthcare products, rehabilitation, agro and biotech, as well as clean energy and construction. In recent years, the Kaliningrad region is often mentioned in various projects of developing urban infrastructure in small cities. The vector of developing good urban environments was, of course, set by the Football World Cup. In projects such as the improvement of the roads, the airport, the stadium itself, during that period a lot has been done to improve the urban environment. Dozens of courtyards were improved under that program. The capital renovation program that started 5 years ago helped improve more than 3,000 high-rise buildings, including our unique historical monuments that were built pre-war. The modern environment creates good formats for the activity of the small business. For example, we have Roman Aranin, a social entrepreneur who's head of the Observer company. They develop modern rehabilitation means for wheelchair-disabled people, and he was the first person to set up inclusive beaches for the disabled people. And now, next to his new production facility, he builds a accommodation facility where people will be rehabilitated. Another case is Ivan Artyuk in the Neman city, where he developed a cheese production, which is not very successful, but also an exciting tourist destination. The businessman leased the Order Castle of the Ragnit Fortress, a historical monument, and he is now restoring it. These projects are, of course, supported by the government. Roman Aranin's production facility, for example, used a regional loan from the Industry Development Foundation. The Observer company was supported by the government in obtaining a land plot. Ivan Artyuk also cooperates with My Business Support Center and also applies for special loans to restore cultural heritage facilities. The territory around the Ragnit Fortress will be developed in a project that won 45 million in a contest to improve the environment in small cities. And we believe that this comprehensive approach of supporting the entrepreneurs, the businessmen, around the business facilities could lead to synergy and systematic effects of improving the quality of life in our smaller cities and villages. The implementation of this project, such as the advantages, such as the climate and the culture, already make the Kaliningrad region one of the more attractive places for our citizens to work, as well as for investors. In Russia, we are one of the leaders in terms of immigration, in terms of population involvement in small and medium business. And within the next 5 years, we have some 500 projects planned for implementing, worth over 400 billion rubles, with a lot of jobs to be created. And we would invite those interested in joining this process. Welcome to the Kaliningrad region.
Thank you for participating in our conference. The concept of the smart city, the city of the future, is widely discussed by the government and business circles of Nice. This interest is of no coincidence. Nice is rated the top smart city in France. One of the basic principles of Nice's development is balancing its identity and universality in order to create a comfortable, inclusive environment for all its residents and tourists. The mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, will share this with us in his speech.
Je tiens naturellement à adresser mes sincères remerciements à tous les organisateurs de la Global Impact Conference. Rosatom, l'Agence fédérale du nucléaire en Russie, l'École des hautes études en sciences économiques, Forbes Russie, les autorités russes et de Singapour. Naturellement, l'innovation numérique peut aujourd'hui nous permettre de relever les grands défis qui nous attendent. Et c'est dans un contexte de crise successive, qu'elles soient économiques, sanitaires ou environnementales, que se tient cette conférence et qui lui donne toute sa légitimité. En ce qui nous concerne, la métropole Nice-Côte d'Azur, avec ses 49 communes et 550 000 habitants, couvre une diversité de paysages, depuis la Méditerranée jusqu'aux cimes des Alpes. Et dès sa création fort de cette géographie, j'ai souhaité faire de Nice-Côte d'Azur un territoire de référence en matière de Smart City. De quoi s'agit-il ? Tout d'abord de créer un territoire résilient et durable, en étant capable d'anticiper les risques, puis d'innover dans la gestion de ses compétences et dans les services apportés aux citoyens. Enfin, de réagir et de nous adapter en temps réel aux aléas. Ici, à Nice, nous avons développé notre propre data center, un entrepôt de données sécurisé, un réseau de fibres optiques privé de 500 km réservé à notre usage exclusif, sur lesquels sont connectés des capteurs relevant près de 50 000 mesures, dans les domaines de l'environnement, de l'énergie, de la pollution, des risques, de la mobilité et de la sécurité. D'ailleurs, sur la sécurité, nos outils sont uniques en France, avec un centre de supervision urbain créé à Nice en mars 2010. Celui-ci est composé de 3300 caméras, soit une pour 104 habitants. 90 agents se relaient 24 heures sur 24. Une gestion centralisée de tous nos dispositifs anti-intrusion sur l'espace public. Voilà comment j'ai souhaité y expérimenter et y déployer toutes les technologies de pointe, comme notamment la reconnaissance faciale. En complément, avec Paris, nous sommes l'un des seuls territoires de France, des deux seuls d'ailleurs, à expérimenter la Safe City pour réduire les dangers urbains grâce aux données analysées des objets connectés. Mais je veux aller plus loin pour mieux organiser notre territoire et apporter un meilleur service aux citoyens et aux usagers. Nous travaillons désormais sur le premier centre d'hypervision urbain de France qui mutualisera toutes les forces de sécurité de notre territoire. Il assurera toute la gestion de la circulation sur l'ensemble de la métropole. Il hébergera une agence métropolitaine de sécurité environnementale, sanitaire et de gestion des risques, de l'anticipation sur l'avenir. Depuis le vendredi 20 novembre, Nice est devenue la première ville française à disposer de la technologie 5G, qui permettra d'offrir de nouveaux services de qualité aux habitants et aux entreprises, comme à la recherche et à l'université. C'est un outil indispensable pour accueillir à Nice les industries de demain, notamment au cœur de notre opération d'intérêt national dénommée Éco-Vallée. Elle permettra aussi d'améliorer la fluidité de notre système de sécurité, d'accélérer dans les domaines du véhicule autonome et des transports, de développer la télémédecine dans nos vallées, celles qui se situent dans la partie de montagne de notre métropole, et de mieux gérer nos ressources, tant dans le domaine de l'eau que des consommations d'énergie. L'innovation numérique et les outils de la Smart City doivent servir à protéger notre territoire et à améliorer la qualité de vie. C'est cette vision d'une métropole connectée et apaisée que je défends grâce aux initiatives qui ont été prises. L'expérimentation de systèmes d'alerte de crues dans un contexte de bouleversement climatique où les catastrophes se multiplient, un observatoire du bruit et de la qualité de l'air, le premier en France, avec des capteurs innovants et des unités mobiles, notamment au niveau des écoles et des axes à fort trafic routier. Faire du port de Nice le premier smart port d'Europe avec de nombreux capteurs environnementaux air et bruit qui évaluent en temps réel les nuisances, alors que dans le même temps, j'ai anticipé toutes les nouvelles réglementations en instaurant notamment le carburant à 0,1% de soufre pour les navires. Ou encore, la place d'une application citoyenne appelée Allo Mairie, pour que les habitants signalent en temps réel les problèmes du quotidien, les dommages causés à leur environnement et soient informés de toutes les mesures prises sur la ville et la métropole. Notre ambition, ce n'est pas d'opposer ou de stigmatiser, mais de concilier les automobilistes avec les cyclistes, les agriculteurs avec les écologistes, les entreprises avec les associations de défense de l'environnement. Notre stratégie Smart City métropolitaine, c'est de placer les habitants au cœur des enjeux d'aujourd'hui et de demain, d'être un territoire pilote dans les nouvelles technologies pour prévenir les dangers, accompagner les usages du quotidien, et de constituer ainsi un grand écosystème local favorisant l'écologie et l'économie.
Our next speaker focuses on research strategies, content development, and international collaboration for the real city of the future, Singapore, which has been ranked the best country in the world in terms of human capital development according to the World Bank Human Capital Index. How have they achieved this? The Director of Research at Singapore's Center for Livable Cities, Limin, is here today to tell us.
Hello, my name is Limin, and I'm the Director for the Center for Livable Cities in Singapore. Today I'll be sharing with you on smart changes for smart cities, ideas from Singapore. Singapore, as you know, is a small city-state with an area just over 720 square kilometers, but with a population of over 5.6 million people, and is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. We have no natural resources, yet we have to fit the needs of a nation into our small city-state. Our Singapore Livability Framework tells us that the outcomes of a livable city that is sustainable environment, competitive economy, and high quality of life has to rest on a foundation of integrated planning and development, as well as dynamic urban governance. And we have always leveraged on technology to help bolster these twin pillars of our development. The idea of technology is not an end by itself, but is an enabler to improve the life of our citizens in various aspects. And we believe in going about this in as inclusive a manner as possible. In Singapore, I will be sharing some of the areas where we have been able to focus on using technologies. Our Smart Nation journey began in 2014, and we have had good success in 3 particular areas. One of them is the integration of technology in planning. Our Urban Redevelopment Authority has been able to develop a range of digital tools, including ePlanner, which allows planners to visualize and analyze through a variety of data sets to do better planning. So for example, in an area that is high with senior citizens, the URA has been able to analyze and visualize how easily they can get to health care facilities and other amenities, and use these insights to better plan for future neighborhoods. At the same time, insights from human sensors has been used to provide planners with additional information to plan for future neighborhoods, so that we could plan for better location of retail and community facilities. We have also been applying smart planning in our public housing towns. Through our Smart Town framework, the HDB has been able to use environmental planning for heat, wind, and sound to better plan environments for our citizens, so that we can optimize energy as well as optimize the kind of living environment people will enjoy. Through a series of smart hubs, HDB has been able to collect and analyze data across towns to better enable estate planners to make use of these insights from the smart hub to create more efficient maintenance plans for our towns. Our HDB flats are also smart enabled. That means that residents are able to easily adopt smart technologies in their homes. In these times where we actually spend a lot of time in the homes because of telecommuting and home-based learning, such technology has come in even more handy than before. We also use technology in planning our green spaces. Our NParks has been able to leverage on geospatial planning technologies to use the planning norms for our parks, that is 0.8 hectares for every 1,000 citizens, to enable our plan for a city in nature so that by 2030, everyone would be able to walk to a park within 10 minutes from their homes. It is commonplace for people to make use of technology in their everyday lives, but what we are seeing now is an increasing active citizenry where people are no longer just enjoying the benefits of a smart nation, but wanting to co-create digital solutions. So for example, our Municipal Services Office has created an app called One Service, which enables citizens to report any fault in the urban environment on the go, and these feedback are actually automatically channeled to the agencies, and at the same time the geospatial tagging and photo taking abilities built into the app enables the agencies to quickly respond to such feedback. Another very important pillar of our smart nation is actually the idea of digital inclusivity. So the aim here for Smart Nation is to make technology available to everyone and leave no one behind. As such, our IMDA has set up the Singapore Digital Office, where one of their main goals is to improve digital literacy among individuals and for businesses. For a start, 1,000 digital ambassadors has been recruited by the Singapore Digital Office to help seniors and hawkers to make use of digital technology. So over 50 learning hubs have been created in Singapore where senior citizens could go for one-on-one coaching, online learning, as well as small group learning. And the aim is that by the end of this year, about 100,000 senior citizens would have been able to go digital. Their training not just enables them to have life skills using digital services, but also how to avoid scams that are commonplace online. Our smart digital infrastructure has also helped us in these difficult times where a lot of disruptions have been created in everyday life, and at the same time, new social norms and behaviors need to be adopted. So, for example, Trace Together is an app developed by the Singapore government to enable communities to know if they have been near an infected person. This uses Bluetooth technology. At the same time, GovTech has worked with the private sector to develop Safe Entry, which is a data collection app which allows people to be tracked when they enter buildings and shops. So these have been very handy in helping us to cope with the current pandemic. Our agencies have also been very quick to leverage on technology. So the URA has created an app called Space Out with the collaboration of mall owners to enable mall goers to have real-time information about how crowded a mall is. And NParks has created Space Out at Parks, where drone technology is used to allow potential park goers to have information about how crowded a park is. So the use of this kind of integrated platforms has become more and more important in these times where people, public and private sector have to work together to make the most use of technology. So what I've shared tells us that it's not enough just to have technology, but to make technology inclusive for all, and to constantly look for possibilities to leverage on technology to better improve our environment, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. And it is important to find new approaches for the public, private, and people sector to work together to constantly improve our lives through technology. So what I've shared with you has informed us that it's important to take a very people-centric approach to digital technology and to constantly look for approaches to leverage on technology to improve people's lives, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. It is also very important for the public, private, and people sector to find ways to work together to leverage on technology for a more livable and sustainable city. So from what I've shared, it is important, especially in the post-COVID city, for cities to constantly look for opportunities to innovate through technology, and also to find new ways that the people, public and private sector could work together to leverage on solutions to make our cities more resilient to future challenges. With this, I would like to conclude with the 6 ingredients of adaptable smart cities from Singapore's experience. So it's important to have long-term planning, build on dynamic urban governance, take a whole of government or whole of society approach to tackle problems, work with businesses, as well as work closely with communities and stakeholders and build an inclusive society. I hope what I have shared has been very useful, and I hope that you would visit our CLC website to look at our publications and research, and I hope that you will join me in the World City Summit 2021. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. You've made an incredibly valuable contribution to the creation of a prosperous society. It's obvious to me that the most important infrastructure for sustainable development is partnership. When a range of participants with different interests work together towards common synergistic goals. You can find examples of this in the stories told by our experts from all over the world, and it's corroborated by the many years of work undertaken by our next speaker, Sergey, Katyrin, the founder of Russia's Chamber of Industry and Commerce.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We all live in a global world, and to promptly respond to new challenges, we need to keep abreast of the events, to have an opportunity to exchange experience, to involve the maximum number of stakeholders in the discussion and addressing the key issues. And the vector now shifts from competition to partnership globally. The pandemic situation proved this statement to be particularly true. To ensure quality changes, ensure the sustainable development and economic growth, to ensure building a strong civil society, the business, the government, the NGOs must work together. That is why the Russian Chamber of Industry and Commerce focuses on creating such a partnership fora, and this is supported by our network of regional chambers of industry and commerce, as well as representative offices of Russian Chamber of Industry and Commerce abroad, supporting various legal initiatives aimed at incentive for various interested industries, increasing transparency, implementing infrastructure projects and environmental solutions. It is important that the activity of almost all parts of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce are in that or other aspects related to the UN Global Sustainability Goals. Let me illustrate the operation of a newly created entity, the Council for Sustainable Business and CSR and volunteering, that was established as an opportunity for dialogue, contributing to sustainable development agenda. The Council should become a forum to develop common approaches and solutions. It has been set up in partnership with Rustam, one of the leaders in promoting the sustainable development agenda, and the Association of Volunteer Centers that has a lot of expertise and practical experience in developing volunteering activity. The Council includes the large business corporations that have a lot of experience in corporate volunteer programs, as well as business transformation based on sustainable development, as well as representatives of small and medium businesses, universities, and large media. We have developed a topical agenda. We have identified leaders, and we brought them together to work on addressable solutions on a nationwide scale. Next, it's important to determine the agenda of the Council, and here we could talk about such areas as promotion of CSR philosophy as well as practice among the general public. I believe that the awareness-raising activity is very important. The engagement of the volunteering approach in legislation, and I use the word engagement for a reason. It's important to find solutions and compromises. Topics such as CSR, volunteer activity, the development of methodologies, professional standards, consultancy support to small and medium companies, holding forums and conferences, business clubs and other joint events, positioning the Russian business in the international community as the source of some international business practices. This year, Russia submitted an overview of the progress against achieving sustainable development goals in the UN on a voluntary basis. The experience of voluntary partnerships based on Russia's Chamber of Industry and Trade of Commerce has already shown good results. I guess it contributes to the development of potential of all parties involved. I wish everyone very